When you look at the major figures on the world stage today, the political journey of Narendra Modi it's one of the most remarkable stories of our time. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how he went from a small town in India all the way to the nation's highest office. And that really is the central question, isn't it? How does this happen? It's a journey that tells us so much, not just about one man's ambition, but really about political organizing, ideology, and the huge shifts happening in modern India itself. So, to really understand his rise, you can't start in the halls of power. Nope. You have to go all the way back here, to the small town of Vadnagar in Gujarat. His upbringing was humble, and that's not just some biographical detail. It would become a really powerful and absolutely crucial part of his political identity later on. Now, a huge piece of the puzzle in his early years was his deep involvement with the RSS, a Hindu nationalist volunteer organization. And to get this period, you have to know this term, pracharak. This wasn't just a job or a role. It was a voluntary, lifelong commitment, a full-time dedication that gave him a powerful ideology and a deep, deep understanding of how to organize people at the grassroots level. And that total dedication as a pracharak leads us right into the first major phase of his career, the political organizer. Long before he ever ran for office, he spent years deep inside the party machine, really sharpening the organizational skills that would become his signature. His climb to the top wasn't some sudden leap. It was a slow, steady, step-by-step process. It started with him joining the RSS and fully embracing its ideology. Then he built this reputation as a super disciplined organizer, which led to his appointment to the political party, the BJP. And from there, he just kept climbing until he reached the really key national role of general secretary. Okay, so after proving himself as this master organizer behind the scenes, Modi was ready for his first huge executive role. He went back to his home state, Gujarat, to become its chief minister. And that's where he launched what became known as the Gujarat model, the very thing that would build his national reputation. And once he was in that chief minister's chair, he stayed there for a long, long time. After his initial appointment in 2001, he went on to win 3 straight state elections. He governed Gujarat for more than a decade, and that kind of sustained success gave him the platform to really develop his own unique style of governance. So what was at the very heart of that governance style? Well, it was all about economics. And this one single number, an average annual GDP growth of over 10%, that became the absolute cornerstone of what the world would soon call the Gujarat model. Right, so you hear this phrase, the Gujarat model, all the time. But what did it actually mean? Well, basically, it was a massive shift in focus. The state's economic policy went from being pretty traditional to being aggressively pro-business and focused on attracting investment. That was paired with a huge push on infrastructure. We're talking major projects for power and roads. This model became his calling card for the rest of the country. And you can probably guess what happened next. All that success in Gujarat set the stage perfectly for his jump into national politics. He basically took the story of the Gujarat model and made a very bold promise to do the same thing for the entire country. The result was, and there's no other way to put it, a political earthquake. Just look at this chart. The sheer scale of the victory in 2014 was stunning. The BJP, with him at the helm, won a clear majority of seats in parliament all by themselves. That was the first time any single party had done that in 30 years. It was an undeniable national mandate. So with that massive mandate, he got right to work. His first term as prime minister was packed with these huge, high-profile national initiatives. They covered everything from economic programs like Make in India and a whole new goods and services tax to massive social campaigns like the Swachh Bharat mission for nationwide sanitation. But his focus wasn't just on what was happening inside India. Not at all. A huge part of his time as prime minister has been about boosting India's profile and its influence on the world stage, which in turn has made him a globally recognized figure. And if you want to understand his entire foreign policy vision in a nutshell, this quote pretty much says it all. It's a massive statement of ambition, this belief that India's time has finally come and that it needs to step up and claim its position as a major world power. So how do you turn that vision into reality? Well, his government put a multi-layered foreign policy in place. It started with a neighborhood-first focus on countries right next door, then expanded with an Act East policy.
On top of that, there was a big push to build stronger partnerships with major global powers, all while actively connecting with the very influential Indian community living abroad.
And that leaves us with one final big picture question. When you look beyond just one man's incredible life story, what does this whole journey, from a small town in Gujarat all the way to the world stage, what does it really tell us about the ambitions, the politics, and the changing identity of India itself in the 21st century?